Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me this evening. It is a pleasure to introduce to you my dear friend Shauna, who is the person that helps me with my digital content. She's known as the digital content chick. And so that I don't get her husband's name wrong, I'm just going to call him Pastor AJ. So
We'll take it. We'll take it.
Cool with you. I'm not going to mess this up because I am live. But the theme for this month right here is the new economy.
Yes.
And I know that so many, as you know from your field, you don't just deal with me with digital content. You also deal with finance and finance for family, and that's on all multi-level. So let me just tell my audience just a little bit about you.
Okay.
They are high school sweethearts. I discovered this when I talked to them. I'm going right there first. Let people know who you are. And so they are high school sweethearts. They've been married for 12 years. They have a son called DJ. They are pastors of Empowered Hope, a digital faith-based community focused on outreach and evangelism. They believe in social entrepreneurs. You're going to have to define that in a minute. Financial coaches and regional vice presidents of the Empowered Group, empowering families to create a stronger financial future. We're going to talk about that too. I love all these points because all these points we're going to talk about. And their family creed, I love this, is to effect change in the lives of others with the message and love of Jesus Christ. I'm so glad that you're joining us. So I am thankful. Their website that you can find them on is empoweredmf. I'm going to say moneyfinancemf.com, but they'll put all that in the details. So please let me introduce again to you Pastor AJ and my dear friend Shauna. Hello.
Hello. Good evening. Good evening. So great to see all of you. Glad to be on today. This is exciting. This is exciting.
This is very exciting. I love the Mega Women community. I am a part of the Mega Women community. Yes. So it's just so cool to be here. But now on this side of the camera,
exactly. Just to give you all a brief introduction, Shauna is, when I talk about my Mega Women community and when I've done interviews like this, the joy that I have is presenting my friends, the people that are behind what I do to you. And then a few weeks ago, I thought her page had been hijacked by this handsome man sitting beside her, talking about money, and I was like, ooh, I'm intrigued. And then we've been trying to do an interview together for so long. So I'm just grateful that I get both of them. I get two of them together. And so just to jump out there, I know a little bit about your history, but DJ, tell them a little bit of your financial background.
Yeah. So once again, Dr. Maria, thank you so much for the opportunity. I think any chance you get for somebody to invite you into their space and their moment and into their community, that's a privilege and an honor, and one we definitely do not take lightly. So thank you to you. We greatly appreciate it. And excited to be on. Yeah. So for us, our financial background, I mean, if we go back to, when we first got married, right, about 12 years ago, for us, it was we ran the play, right? So we went to school, we got the grades, we had all the paperwork on the walls, right? So we had the bachelor's and the master's and everything going on, right? Nice frames. I mean, everything was all right in perfect position. But I always say this, right? We always had more month left at the end of the money. Right. And, that's, for most families and for most individuals, right? You get to about the 24th of the month and you're like, oh, my God, we got to make it another week. Like, but it's right? I'm going to stretch it across this past week. And that was our story. That's where we came from. We didn't grow up wealthy. We didn't grow up with great financial education, right? Our no financial, we were financial literacy.
Right.
So really, for us, coming into here we are now, 9 years later, in what we do, really the first thing for us was just learning, right? Was just getting that financial education. I think it's so many families and individuals out there that just don't get educated, right? We don't, I always say, when is the last time you took a money 101 class, You know what I mean? Like a course.
Crickets.
Right? And you always get crickets. No,
right.
no, I never took that. What is that?
Let me ask you, you say financial literacy. What does that really mean? And where do you go to find that?
Yeah, so financial literacy really just represents miseducation or really being uninformed. You know, most individuals are just uninformed financially, be it that either we weren't taught, you know, that information growing up, or we were, you know, just other things going on in life. So we never really, you know, found the time or found the opportunity to really be able to learn. But I think the way that you find it is, number one, you got to pursue it.
Absolutely.
You got to pursue it. And I think that's the first step of it all is, do you actually have a desire to become educated financially? Like, do you have a desire to be in a better situation, to be in a better position, to go further, right, financially? And so number one is the pursuit of it. But then I think number two is connection, right? Connecting to either resources or people that have the resources to really get that, you know, education that you need. So therefore, now you're getting that clarity and understanding on how to basically manage what we believe that which God has trusted you with, right? We're all stewards over it. And so we be the most effective stewards we can be. Well, that's going to take the pursuit and the learning to really be able to get that.
I think we were so blessed because 9-ish years ago, we're getting old, babe. Wow.
We're getting wise. We're getting wiser.
Yeah. But 9 years ago, we had a friend that actually came over and sat with us, and she was like, "I want to teach you guys some principles that I've learned, and I'm not sure if you know them." And you know, here I am with my you know, bachelor's and master's, and I'm like, "Of course I know what you're gonna say." Blah blah blah. And sit down at the table, and I'm blown away by, you know, everything that I didn't know about interest and loans and how money really works and how to properly save for the future. I had zero-based budgeting. I hadn't heard of any of these things before. And I, you know, kind of considered myself a well-educated person. And I said, babe, I looked at my husband, I said, if we didn't know this, then
people,
no one around us.
We're not talking about it. Right? We're not talking about
because we would have heard of it before. And so that is really what sparked
and lit the fire.
Yeah.
And we pursued it.
Let me just jump in because, you know, I know that you both pastors and, you know, you have this Empowered Hope Church, right? A digitally-based community. And so let me throw this at you as a pastor. There's so many pastors when we teach on, I shouldn't say teach, when we preach about wealth and we preach about being financially stable for your home and your family, that's as far as the church takes it. The church doesn't teach you about the business side. In life insurance, you know, some people don't even believe in life insurance. But, you know, these are things that are not taught. How have you put in I'm going to say the word foundation that helps your church to do this?
You want to go first?
Sure. So, well, one of the things is it's a part of our lifestyle, right? So we're always looking to, tuning in from Jamaica. That's so cool. We're always looking to empower every person that we encounter, definitely with the gospel. And then we're like, you know, also we need to empower you with some other very practical tools that are going to help you live this abundant life that God has promised you. But, you know, there are some things that we have to put in place to be wise stewards to do that.
Right. So it's really for us a holistic approach, right? Yes. So yes, we want to be spiritually strong. And that's always, we believe, going to be number one above all, right? But then also we need to be mentally strong, emotionally strong, physically strong, right? But also financially strong, right? And I just believe that God wants us to be whole and desires for us to be whole. So for us, the way that we've always introduced it is, you know, this is just another part. The Bible continuously speaks about the management of money, right? And how we should properly steward, how we can leave inheritance for our children's children, that the borrower is slave to the lender. Like, you can go all through our scripture and find through the word practical principles. And so what we focus on doing is, just as much as we want to empower you spiritually, let's also go to the word of God and figure out what does God say about how we handle what he's placed in our hands, not only to sustain us, but also to grow it, right? We all know the story of the talents, right? So all of that really is just, once again, showing people that no, that as much as your faith is important to God, the money is important as well, all right? And how we handle and use it is just as important. And so we find it in the book and really focused on just helping people, right, navigate that as they move forward.
And another thing, a way that we really make that practical and bring that home is we host workshops every week where we're sharing, and these are free, open to the public, where we're sharing this information virtually because, we want to stay safe. Right? So we do that open for the community, but we also do that for a lot of churches and ministries as well when they want to empower their members financially. So
And I love that as the more that you talk about empowerment, you also believe, and I love the phrase that you use, social entrepreneurs. Please define that for my listeners.
Gotcha. I'm gonna let the marketing guru go first, right? I'm gonna let the marketing guru take it, and I'll follow
suit. I love the balance between the two of you. Come on.
Social entrepreneurship is, and this is your lane, Dr. Maria, right? So it's discovering that hidden economy that you have inside of you, taking that product, that service, whatever it is that you're bringing to the marketplace and adding value in exchange for some type of currency, right? But when you're a social entrepreneur, you're basically tagging or attaching a cause or a mission to the value that you're bringing to the marketplace. And so not only are you bringing in revenue to increase your own life, your own abundance, but you're taking a dedicated portion of that revenue and you're dedicating it and directing it to better or to solve some type of issue, right? And so for us, that's developing other entrepreneurs, but also we have a huge heart for the homeless. And so we do a lot of homeless outreach here in our local community. And so always looking specifically for ways to take our business and help it so that it can affect change in others.
Yeah. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And I love the fact that you say social entrepreneurs, because the marketplace has changed. And especially this year, and I know you were saying social entrepreneurs before 2020. And so how now are you helping people to navigate to being social entrepreneurs?
That's a great question. I think for us it's awareness. So the biggest thing that we focus on doing is, as we are entrepreneurs and as we are really relentless entrepreneurs, like we just enjoy it. We enjoy it, right? But I think too, it's after that, it's really number one, you yourself being aware, right? There are needs out there. I always say we're blessed to be a blessing. Like God wants to flow right through us, right? He wants to use us as those channels. And so for us, then it's really engaging those around us, right, in our sphere of influence, and engaging others. Like, hey, what are you passionate about? What moves you? Like, what keeps you up at night? You may not have the same necessary passion that we have, maybe, but what is your lane? And so what ends up happening is you'll see these communities of entrepreneurs start popping up where, one may be social justice, one may be homelessness, one may be single mothers. We have domestic violence. We have another group where their whole focus is mentoring young men coming up. Right? But either way it goes is just taking your passion, but as entrepreneurs, putting our resources behind passion. That's what makes it social. So let's get out here and actually use what we have to really be a blessing to others and really see some true impact, because you're trying to reverse cycles, you know what I mean? And trying to break cycles. Yeah. And so really the more that we can pour back into a lot of places where we all come from, I think the more change we can ultimately see in using our newfound influence, right, as entrepreneurs to really
I love the fact that it's the giving back. It's a principle that even CEOs of major corporations do. We call it tithing, and we call it the principle of I was sick and you fed me. I was naked and you clothed me.
Yeah.
but there's so many different aspects. And one of the things that I am very intrigued when I saw that you took over your wife's page was your financial coaching.
She let me do it though. She let me do it. Yeah. She invited me on. I didn't break in. I didn't sneak into the
I keep teasing you about that. Now I'm doing it publicly right here on all these platforms. But what is some of the keys? I know you can't give everything away because you don't do that for free, and it shouldn't be free because we want to see people empowered, and to do that they have to invest in themselves. But what are some of the keys that you do when you talk about financial coaching?
Yeah, that's great for us. So really, when it comes down to it, one of the biggest things that we're going to teach people is really how to structure your finances, right? Like how to really position yourself. One of the biggest issues that we've seen this year with the pandemic and everything else going on is there was a lot of panic financially. But the reason being is because there wasn't structure financially.
Yeah.
Right? So one of the things we're going to teach is really the 3 accounts that everyone should have. Okay. So first thing first, right? Everyone, we believe, should have what's called an emergency fund, right? Yeah. That's exactly what it sounds like. It's money that you have set aside for emergency. What's an emergency? Tire can go flat. Refrigerator in the house can mess up. It's the middle of the night. You got to run to urgent care. Yes. Whatever. Yeah. You can lose your job, right? Whatever happens, industry standards say that you should really work towards having 3 to 6 months right, worth of living expenses set aside in cash, that if anything were to go wrong, you can handle it, right? And so that's going to be the first way. And then the second thing we're going to tell people to do is, hey, you need a short term or what we call biggie account, right? What may be considered a biggie? You may say, okay, well, in a year or two, I want to buy a new house. I want to buy a new car. I want to go on a very nice vacation, right? Like, for example, us, our son is a sophomore in high school, so we know in 2 years, right? College. We got to pay for that, right? So what it means, right, as an emergency is something that can happen in the next year, today or a year. A big is going to be something that can happen in the next year to 10 years, right? We're going to proactively save for that. And then we always say that the third way that you should be saving, or the third thing that you should be saving for, is really that finish line, or what's known as that retirement, right? Like eventually at some point, right, we're all going to want to be able to rest, relax, enjoy ourselves, right? Be able to put our feet up, enjoy the grandkids. And so really, when you structure your finances in such a way where you make sure that you have emergency savings, right? You're saving for your biggies that are coming up, right? So you're not panicking, scrambling, trying to, and then at the same time, you're planning for the long term, right? Or the future. Then what that does is it brings, number one, clarity, right? Yeah. So clear on everything. But number two, it really brings peace, because now if anything drastically goes wrong, I got 3 to 6 months. We can sustain a little bit and be able to figure it out, right? But at the same time, I got my biggie money. So college is coming up. We want to buy that new house, whatever the case may be. The money's there. You're not feeling the pressure. You're not feeling that pressure, that tightness, and then of course, right down the line for your finish line, right? You got that cash set aside to where now, when you retire, when you start going on those cruises, right? Ultimately, it really works and really kind of gets you moving forward there.
Yeah. Let me have a question for you. Talk about zero balance.
Oh, that's it right there.
We love it. She's tuning in from she's tuning in with us. She's a part of our empowered group family. Yeah. She's amazing. She's such a huge support system for us. So zero-based budget is something that we talk about all the time when we're empowering families. And it's really just teaching them that your budget should it should really drill all the way down to zero, right? So a lot of times we'll create a budget, but we kind of leave ourselves cushion for like the caramel macchiato, right? Or, just those little fringe nails, right? Lashes, all those little things that
those little things.
When we're talking about you just need to shave her.
Right.
And so we teach families that every single line item, every single cent should be assigned to a purpose. Right? And so there should be, at the end of your budget, you really should have it so it's drilled down to zero, so that you're telling your money exactly what you want it to do and how you want it to work for you.
You got to control the money, or the money will control you.
Absolutely.
So even that, Like, for example, in our own personal life, when we first started using the budget, like I would leave things like, you know, the Gatorade would be left off the list, or the bag of chips at the gas station, or, you know, oh, the Netflix is only $7. Like, we don't got to worry about that. Right? But believe it or not, even all those little things, right? All that adds up, right? Because I would say like this: you may think it's $5, right? But spend $5 5 days a week, that's $25. That's $100 for the month. Yeah. Right? It's now gone. That you're wondering, well, where'd that $100 go? It walked out the door because you didn't give it an assignment. So really, for us, it's just telling it, right, what to do, how to do it, and really where to go.
AJ likes to call it unidentified flying money.
Yeah, UFM. Everyone has UFM if you don't pay attention. That's unidentified flying money. You got to make sure you get control of that, right? Don't walk around with leaky pockets. Make sure you have.
So let me give you a lovely example. I'm putting my business out there because I'm further down in years of marriage than you are. And in our early years of marriage, we bought our first home when we were 20 and 21, right? And so even today, Dr. Rennie still hates the word budget. We are 36 years later in marriage and he still hates the word budget. But those early years, about unidentified flying money. So his thing, I'm putting it out there, his thing was Kentucky Fried Chicken. Those of you that know, my husband knows that he loves Kentucky Fried Chicken even to this day. So back then it was maybe $2 or $3, you know, £2 or £3. Yeah. But we were budgeting, and I was making packed lunches for us because we are on a strict budget. Yeah. I live by this rule. And then find out, you know, $2 or $3, that's $10 for the week, because we'll skip Saturday and Sunday. Somebody put it up their lap, and they know him really well. And but that, when you further down in the years later, when you're now budgeting for bigger things, it's little items that you don't put on the list that you just like, oh, you take for granted. Today, Starbucks, $5 for a Starbucks. If you have that 5 days a week, right?
It makes a difference.
It makes a difference. And so we've got to be practical. You're making very practical, saying very practical things in a jovial way. But it really is so important to itemize those little things and make sure that you are budgeting for them. Another thing that I love that you do, and this is part of what you've been saying, is empowering families. And to do that, just like what I just said, you've got to talk. You've got to share the hidden monies. Not share completely all the hidden monies, because us women, I hate to tell you this, but my husband always says, "Look, your mother's not broke. She's just got it hidden somewhere."
Yeah.
She's just telling you that she's. I'm not even going to tell you what I call it because it would be live. But help families understand how to really work together, because you're working towards a bigger goal.
Yes. Yeah. So on Cheryl, you are so helpful. She's like she's making sure we don't forget anything. Every Thursday we do a live video where it's called Empowered Thursday, and that's really where we come on online and we share those tips and principles. And to be honest with you, Dr. Marina, early on when we started to go out and help clients, and we would come to their homes and we're like, okay, we're here to help you talk about your finances and, you know, help you build a strong financial future. We would come into the home and realize that the stress and the burden of the finances had completely destroyed the fabric of the family. You know, and we would be in there in tears and praying and crying, and sometimes it was even warfare. I mean, it was really heavy ministry, and that's when we realized, okay, this is bigger. You know, there's a bigger mission to this.
Yeah.
And to be honest, can I just jump in, because you're really tearing down strongholds.
Yes.
And let's, because we're talking ministry right now, so let's make this. We're talking strongholds, and you're talking about hidden things that builds up distrust.
Yeah.
Because we know that the money answereth all things. It really does, but it settles every fear and every doubt. And it also brings security. And if that isn't there, there's a slow deterioration. I think it's the Proverbs that talks about the little foxes that makes the holes in the walls. And so thank you, Cheryl. Your go is on it. It's generational curses, and with generational curses, there's that secrecy of not sharing even how we overcome to get into finances, and then breaking the cycle of retaining that mindset that wealth isn't for us.
Yeah. Good. Yeah.
That's really good. And it's interesting too, because when you look at just the scope of families and marriage and all that, I mean, money is at the top of the list on why most people don't make it, right? And so for us, the biggest thing I think when it comes to empowering families is, number one, teaching them how to communicate. That in itself is big, because you'll be amazed how many people you'll sit down and talk with, and it's like, well, you know, you handle this, I handle that. You know what I mean? That's your thing. This is my thing. You're living more like roommates.
Yeah, you got culture.
You're really united. And so for us, you know, the biggest step to empowerment, we believe, is first communication. Right? Let's even start the conversation and address. Okay, how do you feel? How do you feel? What's your thoughts? What are your thoughts? You know, how do you? What are your? Because if you don't, then what ends up happening is resentment, bitterness, unforgiveness starts to build in. You know, the $1 is causing major arguments. Just the pressure that's being created. So for us, let's get you talking. Let's get you moving. Let's open up. But then know that now you have someone in your corner to really help you navigate, because there's really 3 reasons why people are struggling financially. Number one, most people have no financial education, right? We talked about that a couple minutes ago. But number 2, right, which I think is just as big, is most people have no plan, right? There's no plan. They haven't written anything down. They haven't addressed, where do you want to go? Where do you want to be? How do you spend?
Where do you want to be in 5 years?
What are your habits? What are your habits?
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean? And then number 3, so number 1, no education. Number 2, no plan. But then number 3, no coach. Here's the problem. For most people, when we're trying to move forward financially, a lot of people don't know where to start, right? Like, where to begin? Like, it feels like this is a mountain, and I don't even know how I'm gonna face it. Nevertheless, get over it, right? And secretly shopping, right? But ultimately, really, what the coach does is the coach then says, "Hey, guess what? I'm gonna lock arms with you, right? I've been where you are, right? That's the whole point of coaching and mentoring is I know where you are, right? So if that's the case, let me help you walk through the situation, grow and develop, and ultimately get to the position, you know, that we know you want to be at. But it really starts from, first and foremost, let's communicate and let's be open."
Yeah.
You know?
So while I've got you all coming on, please, if you have any questions, put it in the comments. I see some of you already listed where you are watching us from, but please put your questions in, because we have them for a brief time. But you can also follow Shauna. Tell them, Shauna, where they can find you on.
Sure. Yes, so we are very active on social media. You'll always find us on there. Shauna, SHAUNA_empowered on Instagram. You can find us on Facebook, and AJ_empowered on Instagram as well. Or you can visit our website at empoweredtmf.com. Oh, thank you so much. That's so awesome. Yes.
Lovely. Yep. There you go. And so we're running out of time, because I like to do this in 30 minutes. There's so many questions, and we've hit some.
We probably go all night, right?
I know, especially as we're friends. You know, people find it difficult, especially this year, to even think about. They hadn't thought about planning. A lot of people, this took them by surprise, because the shutdown really began from March. This is now December. And so whatever emergency money people have, a lot of them have gone through that. Help them plan for 2021. We're talking about financial freedom. Help them get a mindset that this too will pass. This isn't your eternity. This is going to pass. And so you've got to start setting a vision and a plan for 2021.
Right. So when I was with anyone that's feeling the pressure of the moment, right, and trying to figure out how do I move forward, the first thing I would share with you is start from where you stand. A lot of times what we tend to do is, well, I'll do it when or I'll start when or I'll move in that direction when, you know what I mean? So it's always this condition to beginning. But I would say with you, start from where you stand. The biggest thing about savings, right, or even investing is, for most, it's a habit. And most people may not have the habit yet, right? So you may not have the habit of putting hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars away, but you don't understand the power of $25, right? Power of starting something and then increasing, right, over time, right? Increasing over time. They always say, you know, how do you eat an elephant? One small bite at a time, right? You can't just take the whole thing on. So same thing when it comes to your savings plan is you got to start from where you stand, right? So starting with the what can you do right now? Right, you look at your budget. What can you save right now? Is it 3%? Is it 5%? Is it 10%? Is it $25? Is it $50? Whatever the case may be, start there. And here's what will start happening. Mentally, literally, you will see it start to grow, and you'll literally go, this is interesting. I like this.
Yeah. This
feels good, man. I see oh man, it's increasing, and you'll watch yourself start making different decisions. Right, that going out on over the weekend may not be as interesting now as putting the money up. Right, that going out and getting the new this may not be as important as, you know what, I'd rather pay this off.
Right,
freedom that way. Right, and so either way it goes, it start from where you stand. Right, nothing is ever too small. It'll be enough to get you ultimately on the road towards where you want to be financially.
And if I can add to that, I think that also this season that we've walked through with the pandemic and the shutdowns, there have been so many furloughs and layoffs. I feel like this is such a strategic time for us to really say, okay, Father, we know that you are our source ultimately. So what is the hidden economy that you placed inside of me that I can use to bring value to the marketplace? So then I can increase my income and have more to add to my financial game plan so that I can have a stronger financial future.
Yes. And, you know, while I've got both of you, I know that you understand this, that the best time to start a business is in this down time.
100%.
And before I let you rip on that, I know our own personal testimony and the testimony of people in our ministry when they're battling with finding favor in the marketplace. Even the idea that they have to bring forward is always sow a seed. And that seed opens up so many things for you. And I've seen in this down market so many in this that have got creative, and a new economy has burst forth. I'm sure you can testify about that. The people that you have coached, this has been the best time of their lives in the down market because I believe in seed sowing, because seed sowing will always give you a harvest in this downtime. People wonder how you survive, how are you increasing? Because I sow and I put my money to work. And budget planning is all part of that, but that's seed. And it's so important. Those of you that are watching, please put a seed in the ground. Put a seed, sow a seed that opens up and solidifies this next move of God on your lives.
That's good.
Give a testimony of we talked about how people can begin to be financially free, but talk about the testimony of what you've seen, how people have increased.
Oh man, it's so many stories. I mean, we've seen it. We've seen it well. And here's what's interesting about it. You know, when it comes to sowing, right? When it comes to sowing, I think a lot of times what we want to do is we want to sow, and then we want to immediately reach in the soil and try to pull it right back up. Like, well, hold on, I just put it down. It didn't grow yet. You know, so it's so really, number one, we've watched people literally the thousands of dollars, in debt, no insurance in place, not saving anything, not investing, right? Not putting anything away, struggling, living check to check.
Yeah.
So literally watching them because they got on a plan, they got disciplined, they put things in place, right? They sowed their seeds, right? And they did what they had to do. But in that, watching the turnaround of them now walking and getting out of debt, right? Getting that pressure off their shoulders, beginning to save and invest, right? Watching them transition from, being on the 9 to 5, not making enough, but then realizing that God has given us all the power to build wealth, right? Yeah. In that, they said, you know what? We're going to take a chance. We're going to move in faith. We're going to put ourselves out there. They started a business now. We're watching them years later. They're well over $150,000, $200,000 of income, right? But it all started from what? Being in the mindset enough to say, you know what? We're just going to start.
Yeah.
We're not going to wait for the conditions to be perfect, because they never will be, right? Yeah. I love that, right? Sarah, Ms. Q put from renting to home ownership, building, right? Yeah. That's all increasing. That's all growing, right? But ultimately, we have seen people be willing to just start, right? But next thing you know, they're in their destined place of where we believe God always wanted them to be. But it's going to take a process, right? It's going to take a journey, but you'll definitely get there as long as you have faith enough to begin.
Right.
So we do have a question.
Yep.
How do you choose the best payoff of bills versus saving strategy?
Ooh, that's a good one.
That's a good question. Games, that's a great question. All right. So how do you choose the best payoff of bills versus saving strategy? Okay. Well, one of the things people always want to do is everybody wants to get rich, right? Everybody wants to be wealthy, right? Everybody wants to increase. But the biggest thing that they don't realize is that for most people, your wealth is in your debt, right? Because if we're consumed, your wealth is in your debt. Right? Mm-hmm. Your wealth is in your debt. So one of the things that we're always going to advise is, number one, remember going back to those 3 accounts that we talked about, you always, regardless of where you are, you're going to need, right, to learn to pay yourself first. Okay. So one of the things we talk about a lot of times is the 10-10-10-70 rule, right? 10-10-10-70, right? So we're going to tithe 10, right? We're going to save or invest 10, right? We're gonna, we always say, because we're social entrepreneurs, right? So we're gonna bless with 10. And we're gonna train ourselves to live off the 70, right? And so really what that does is it creates, once again, an opportunity for you to, right, make sure that of course, we're gonna do that tithe. We're gonna make sure that we're giving back, right? But that 10-10-10-70 is ultimately gonna enable you to really reach all those 3 points. But at the same time, right, being mindful of, I gotta get myself out of debt to free up, because here's a question, I'll leave you with this. How would life be for you if you had no mortgage, no car note, no credit card payments? Life would be amazing, right? Because technically you'd be free, right? You'd be free to release all those monies to now put them into that investment strategy, into that saving strategy that you want. So really it's still, regardless of where we are, right? Regardless of where we are, you can absolutely, right, tithe 10, you can save 10, right? Maybe you got to live on the 80 for a while, but at the same time, making sure that you're paying off that debt is going to free up even more dollars, right, to really put it to where you want to be. And at the same time, right, figuring out what are my gifts, what are my talents, what are my abilities, what can I put into work, right, to really then increase that income, because your income versus your expenses, that gap is your lifestyle. So we got to get that gap bigger, right? To really be able to have the lifestyle to be able to do what God desires us to do in the kingdom.
That quality of life. And we do challenge, some families are like, man, we're playing it real close to the hip. So we have to do 10-10-80. We understand that you're starting where you stand, but we challenge you to go back to your zero-based budget and find those line items like those caramel macchiatos that are in there, and see how you can decrease your expenses so that you can then transition to the 10-10-10-70.
Yeah. Wonderful. I love that. So people, I'm glad that they didn't give you all their information, because you have to invest in yourself, and so you know how to reach them. It's in the chat, and it will be in the post. But I'm just so thankful that once again I get to let you see my friends, let you see the mega winning community. And I love doing interviews like this where it's a husband and wife team, because he does believe in us women. I can't even tell you the stories that we've had privately, but I'm just so thankful. Oh, my friend came on. How do you know what banks are reputable?
Ooh, that's a good question.
That's a great question. That's a great question.
We can answer that without getting in trouble.
Before you answer, don't you get in trouble? I would research. This is what I did when we became an LLC, my coaching company.
Yep.
I researched what bank is favorable for the small business person.
That's good.
That's good.
Yeah, that's good information.
So I already had a bank that we've been with, personal and for ministry, but when I wanted just for business, I researched what bank helped the small business person. So that's my 2 cents. Go ahead.
Pretty much same thing I was going to say, right? Research. The beauty about the time that we're in is nothing is off limits, right? You can find out and figure out anything you want to figure out. And so really, based on what it is that you're looking to accomplish, right? As Dr. Marina said, if it's small business, if it's personal, right? If it's whatever, nonprofit, whatever the case may be, doing your research to figure out which institutions, right, have the best programs, the best setups, the best networks for those particular goals that you have, for what you're looking to accomplish, will definitely be able to point you in the right direction.
One of the things that we do, Yvonne, because that is a really great question. A lot of people do wonder that, is our sessions are free. We offer free financial education sessions. And once we help you kind of figure out your roadmap to your financial goals for your future, we recommend what types of accounts will be best for you, and we help you walk through that process. So we can definitely answer your question. We just can't do it online.
So please reach out to them. I've been trying to close for the last 5 minutes, and this is really good. I thank you both.
Thank you.
And I just pray that people reach out to you, because this really is a good time to learn about financial freedom. And let's have the conversation. It's uncomfortable. We have to lay out all our business, but you're talking to people who are spiritual in their principles, and also business and financial. And so I'm just so thankful that you all came on. Please click and share, get this word out. Please reach out to them and sow seed. This is good information for you to sow seed, because you want to be blessed in this ground. So I'm just so thankful. God bless you, and enjoy.
Thanks.